Reflections of a Diva. Today we're discussing relationships. How open are you? When we left off, we were talking about, premarital sex, and maybe that's the baseline issue here. Because we tend to go from relationship to relationship to relationship. And like you said, Ebony, you're depositing spirits with every person that you're with. And maybe that's the baseline issue. What do y'all think about that?
I think that we just have to give up on that, no, have sex before you're married. Honestly, people were getting married at 13. It was easy not to have sex before you were married when you were getting married at 13. Nowadays, people get married at 28. I mean, our bodies, it's a drive. It's a drive that's natural. Our bodies crave for it. And if you're an adult and you're responsible, there's nothing wrong with having sex before you're married, because obviously people are getting married much older. So just, give it up. Just be protected.
But when I have a 14-year-old, and I'm not going to tell him that having sex before you're married is okay. It's really not. Look, like Ebony said about the HIV, the AIDS rate. We think sex is so recreational. It's like going to the football game, going to the basketball game. It's crazy. We need to abstain. I mean, if you don't have that much control to abstain from it, I mean, some of us don't. But the reality is that we need to get a grip on it. Because people are dying every single day because they could not abstain from having sex with this person, that person, this person.
So the problem is that sex is becoming, like you said, it's like going to a football game. It's so, kids, we as adults, it's on television every day. It's so normal that it's not a big deal. So like when you say that, I can understand where you're coming from with that. But back in the day when they weren't seeing sex on TV every day, it was, in their mind, it was taboo to have, sex outside of marriage. But now it's so regular. We see it every day. And I mean, advertising younger and younger. Yeah, they're starting younger and younger. And so you have to put a cap on it. You have to put a disclaimer on that kind of comment.
I think that 13 and 14-year-old kids should not be having sex. If they can't afford the roof that they're living in, they should not be having sex. But I don't think it's normal for 18 or even a 25-year-old adult to not have sex.
Really?
I just don't.
I don't think it's that
normal. I mean, it's only the enemy that wants us to think that this behavior is not normal. It's, he wants us to think, it's okay to do this. It's not okay. It's just a sinful nature that's stemmed from Adam and Eve. It's not right. Things would be so different had we,
I honestly say, like, how they always say, you'll thank me when you're older, or you'll understand this a little later. Because, I'm being realistic. I'm not a virgin, obviously, and I'm not married. But, I'm saying is we're discussing sex, and I'm saying I'm not, obviously, if I'm discussing it, I'm not a virgin. But it's like when now that I'm older, I kind of really understand everything that my parents were trying to do or trying to convey to me. Because when I really look at what's happening, it's like I kind of wish that I would have waited. Because it means more to me now that I know. So that's my biggest fear, that I'm going to have a daughter, and I want to convey that to her just like my parents wanted to convey it to me. And she's going to be like, yeah, white, whatever. I'm feeling sexy.
Especially, you look back and you say, God, that's that one. He was. And if you go down the line, how many times have you all thought that? Seriously. And you get to the end, and when your mate comes, and you got a list. You got a list. And there's nothing left. And I feel like I really should have kept that.
Right, I agree totally. And I do think sex is so overrated. Not that it's not a good thing, but it's very overrated. And I tell my parents, and I try to explain to my little sister and my younger siblings, my little brothers, that it's one of those things where your parents tell you. My parents scared me straight. I was involved in everything the American Red Cross had to offer. So I was literally in a doctor's office looking at herpes on a live penis. So I didn't have to see it in books. So that did not appeal to me at all. And I think as long as I was able to hold out was because of my upbringing and understanding that. And at one point I was like, okay, Mom and Daddy, I hear what y'all saying. God, I know what you want, but it's time out for all of that. But I think it's important, though, to still instill in children, because it is kind of unrealistic. And I do agree with the fact that they did get married at 10. So who wanted to have sex? They didn't want to have sex when they started, you know, for the most part. But they got married. Now you need to have babies. So I think it is definitely important to instill that in your children, but at the same time prepare them for decisions they are going to make, because realistically they may want to. You need to experience things for yourself, basically.
But see, our children are so open with relationships that the young girls are feeling as though they can have oral sex, and that's not not necessarily having sex. They just they are so open, and like you said, you brought up a good point about sexually transmitted diseases. 1 and 2. That's amazing.
And it doesn't go away.
Yes, it's 1 and 2, and that's because of all these open relationships.
People need to understand what you can get.
Right, people are not. It's not just a one-on-one sexual relationships. People are sleeping with so many different people,